Man of many mistakes. I made them all so you don't have to, but you can if you want to. Yep, that's right. So today, I want to take you back a little bit. A lot of bit, actually. And sometimes we got to take you back in order to move forward, you know. So it's one of those days. So if you're down for a little talk, stick with me. Hopefully this will make sense at the end. It'll give you something to think about. So about 300 years ago, circa 1989, 1990, when I was in the music business and pretty new into the hip hop music business. Now, mind you, from 1980 to 88, I was a part of the reggae music business, and that was amazing. But when I got into the American hip hop music business, I learned a valuable lesson. And my job was to find the artists, find the talent, record the talent, make the album. And then once the album is made, now people have to discover the album. And where all the discovery starts is inside the record label, in the building. That's where the discovery of the album starts. So, album is made, now we have to get it to the masses. And I have to walk the album and the artists through the promotions department and let the promotions department understand what this is and how to promote it and how to get the world ready for it. You know, I was a cheerleader for the artists, for the group that I found. And then once the promotions department understood what it was, we moved to the marketing department. Now, how do we sell the artists? You know, how do we make a profit from what we've created and what we've invested in? And then once the marketing department understood the mission, then you move over to the sales department and you let them know this is what we expect. And this is what we're shooting for, and this is the goal we're shooting for. And you know, your expectations are high. Because leading up to this point, you've been in the studio with this particular group for about a year, minimum. And you've put in that work. And I'm talking 14, 15-hour days of recording music, right? So once that process is over with and you get the building familiar with what you're about to present to the world, now the world has to hear it. And that's probably one of the scariest times for a person in my position at the time. Because your job depended on whether or not the world liked what you made. If the world is not going to buy the music you made, then there's no need for you. You get me? So I really learned this valuable lesson. It only takes one. What do I mean? Well, it only takes one song, just one song, to become a hit record. And once that hit record becomes huge and it's known by the masses, that gives that one song the gateway to the album. And the album usually at that time consisted of, 13, 14, 15 songs. And those songs would never get discovered unless the one song was heard and became a hit. It only takes one. And I had to really understand that concept, because when you go in the studio, you try to make every song a hit. You try to make everything you do the greatest, because like I said, your job, it depends on how great you are in the studio and how great the public receives your music. So it only takes one. I'll give you even a deeper example. There was a group that I signed back in the day, and they were very new to the business, had a lot of talent, but was very rough around the edges. So, you know, that's my job, to smooth the edges out and to give them direction and to let them understand what their purpose is in this game. And once they understood that, they started making really good music. really good music. And the music was so good that it had all these departments I described earlier, the promotions department, the marketing department, the sales department, had them all excited, man. The building was on fire for this group. So before you go and make money and before you become rich, you got to go out and do what they call a promo tour, promotions tour. And the promotions tour are rough because when you're a new artist at a new label, your budget for moving around and for transportation is pretty small. Why? Because you haven't made any money yet. You're still an investment. And any smart business person knows that any investment they make, they want to be sure that there's a return on it, or at least try to get a return on their investment. So what do? You end up spending low to bank on getting more and getting high results and high return. So this group, I remember taking them around the country and we would go to colleges, we would go to college radio, we would go to P2 and P3 radio stations. And these are the radio stations that you only hear like in your town. You don't hear them nationwide. You don't hear them once you leave your town. You know, their radio band isn't that big, isn't that long. So, you know, this is what you call the Chitlin circuit. This is what you call the beginner circuit. And it's a good place to learn if you can stand it. So this group, we go on the road. They're going on the road with this high expectation of everyone loving them because the building that they're signed to, the record label they're signed to, really believes in them. And we get in the van. Mind you, I said van, not tour bus yet. There wasn't enough money for tour buses yet. So we'd get in a big Econoline van that sat maybe 16 people. And we'd rent these really cheap hotels at night to sleep in. And we'd go to the radio station in the morning, and then we'd do the performance at night, and we'd move to the next town and do the same thing all over again every day for no pay. So there were a few times when I took the group to a venue to perform, and it's showtime, and the venues are empty. I mean, hollow. So the group gets discouraged because, well, damn, if our label is believing in us, where's the people? So the discouragement starts really quick with the group because all they're really looking for is a reason to complain. That's just what groups do, and that's just what artists do. Complain, complain, complain. Even when things are going great, they complain. So this is where I learned my biggest lesson. We were I don't remember the town. I want to say it was New Orleans, but I'm not 100% sure. And we go to the venue, and like I said, the venue is empty. The only people in the venue is the staff and the workers. So you got the bartender, you got the bar backs, you got the security, you got the owner of the club, you got the manager of the club. People that need to be there no matter what day it is, because they're there to do their job. So it's showtime, and the group is discouraged. They don't want to go on stage. They're yelling at me. There's nobody out there. Why are we performing? So this is where it only takes one really kicked in, and I was able to teach it back then. This was 300 years ago. I said, listen, you guys are out here to perform your music, whether it be for one person or whether it be for 1 million people. You're out here to perform your music. And the performance you give has to be as if the show was packed. Has to be as if there's a full house. You give it your all. And the group just couldn't understand that energy. They couldn't understand that philosophy, and they got real upset with me about it. Nonetheless, they went out and performed. So at the end of the performance, they come in, they go back in their dressing room, or quote unquote dressing room, which I think at that time was like a bathroom, that was corded off for talent. So the performance is over. The group is back in the dressing room. And after a performance, you're usually on this high. You're usually on this rush of adrenaline, and you feel good, And the group did feel good. They performed, But they started to joke right away about shit. Wasn't nobody out there. Who we perform for? So I said, listen, you perform for the staff. There was about 9 people out there, and 9 people were able to see what you do. Out of the 9, guess what? It only takes 1 to see what you do, because that 1 person unlocks the door for 1 million people. And that's the way success works. You have to start at 1. So fast forward, once the group kind of understood that, we're still on tour and there's still some venues that are pretty hollow. So they learned to appreciate the venue and the 1 person that might have been there to watch them. And they started giving it all in the performance. I'm talking about really getting busy for the 1 person, because it only takes 1. So now the group comes back home, they're off tour, and it's time now to release their album, because they've been on their promotion tour. The country kind of knows who they are. There's a little buzz going on. And when you release an album, at least back in those days, you released the single first. And it only takes 1 single. And now the pressure is on me, because I have to pick the single against all odds. And I have to tell the label, this is the song we're going with. And fortunately enough, I had a really good track record at picking singles. So my point here is that 1 single that was picked started a snowball effect of other songs being heard, of the album being discovered, of the group now going on tour and getting paid, and now the group going on tour and becoming famous, and them going on tour without even understanding what an empty house is, because there's people outside waiting for them now. But where did all that start? It started with the performance of 1. Fast forward to now, today, 300 years later. My journey today is YouTube. And I'm bringing the same philosophy to YouTube that I brought to the music business. It only takes 1. It only takes 1 person to hear the message and spread the message. No different than a virus. COVID started at 1. The plague started at 1. And it spread. Now, mind you, it spread negatively for negative reasons, and the results were horrible. But here on YouTube, I get so much gratification by seeing at least 1 person in the comments, or at least 1 person responding, or at least 1 person saving what I said. Because I'm a betting man, and I bet that later on down the road, when I may no longer be here physically, hopefully my message will still be here. And maybe that 1 will turn into 1 million, millions, thousands, hundreds. I've already accomplished my goal by reaching that 1. So I won't mention the group that I took on tour and became famous, because I'm not here for accolades. But I do want to show you something. Very similar situation. Okay? And this is a person that you guys probably know. After his 1 person he touched, can you see that? Yeah. That turned to millions of people knowing about this guy. And so the 1 turned into millions, and then you know how the story goes. This is a message for everyone who feels that they need a crowd to perform in front of, or for everyone who feels like the house has to be packed in order for your message to be heard. No. You give the same energy, whether it's for 1 or 1 million. Love is love. Man of many mistakes. I made them all so you don't have to, but you can if you want to. If you like the content and it's helping you out in your soul a little bit, subscribe. A lot more to come. Thank you.
Whoa, whoa.